Welcome, my brother.
Welcome, baby.
Sales shots coming out of the studio today here in beautiful California.
Yes, sir.
Santa Ana, California. You got the whole beautiful state behind us everywhere. And we thought we'd come out to you guys today and show you a little bit of a different location, different scenery. But we're coming at you with some good stuff.
You're a killer. You get on the phones and just close deals.
You built a reputation around like hard work, holding people accountable.
If you're not overwhelmed, you're doing something wrong.
You're never allowed to say it's a bad market, especially inside my studio.
I don't recruit these washed up old dogs that been doing this for 10 years because they don't got the drive in them anymore.
Dude, you sound like shit.
What is all the shit you do that nobody else does?
You know, Bailey has been my sales director, been with me since day one. Not enough good things I could say about you, right?
Thank you.
You've been a great addition to the team ever since I met you at Fountain Blue. I already knew you were the guy. This guy came to me, he had an insurance firm, closed it down, came and started a business with me from my basement.
We're here with my boy Bailey. Bailey, say what up.
What up, what up? How we all doing, baby?
He was hitting right away. Me and him were just doing all the sales ourselves, writing deals ourselves, and we built the business, and now we're in an office. 2 years later, your 2-year anniversary just passed. We're in an office now with almost 50 people, growing fast, a lot of growing pains, a lot of lessons. And we're kicking ass and taking names.
Man, we are. Man,
Yeah.
First things first. This is beautiful.
Yeah.
For the folks out there, this is a unique setting. You know, we never really do this a lot, you and I. So
Yeah.
thank you for having me. First things
Yeah.
first. But yeah, man, it's been a ride, brother. It's been a ride. You know, from Fountain Blue starting, like you said, just us being able to connect and meet. I've just, again, I lived in Miami at the time. I didn't even know you at Rocket,
Yeah.
which was the craziest part.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we have one heck of a sales team here, are led by you, which is great, man. You're one hell of a sales leader. And 50 people approaching, man. Hopefully be at 100 here in the next couple months.
Yeah.
This is a game changer atmosphere, man. This is
For sure.
amazing.
For sure. And I think that's important before we get started. I think like coming out here and spending time like this and changing the scenery for salespeople and business people, that's important. You know, we work so hard and we're always focused in these tunnels, and you got to put the light at the end of the tunnel. And I think for us, this is a good celebration to enjoy the process and enjoy our success. And for me, it's going to make me come back stronger,
Yeah.
come back more focused, and be like, what's the next contest? Like, we threw a crazy contest. We brought the top 5 people here,
Yeah.
airplane, you know, skyline condos, a house right off the water,
Laguna. Yeah.
yacht party,
Mhm.
dinners, you know. West Capital, shout out to West Cap and Danny, you know, making this happen for us. But it's been hard work, determination. I think this is a good reward for us to just let us know, hey, you're in the right direction. You know, refocus and keep going.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. You know, sometimes in sales, you're working your tail off, right? Heads down, 12 to 14-hour days, 6-7 days a week, 6, 7, 8 months straight, right? And you actually put your head down, celebrate this success. I think you look around you. I mean, this is a huge win for us. Very unique that we get to do it so early, right?
Yeah,
Because normally you don't, right?
Yeah.
Normally it takes multiple years to run into something like this. And I think this goes to showcase, you know, our leadership, what we're doing, our sales tactics and methods, which I know we're going to get into, which I'm really excited for. But man, what a ride this has been. What a
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah.
You know, I think you make a great point. I think if you can put your head down for a year, 6 months, and then you actually take your time to reflect, celebrate, take a day or two off, showcase, celebrate with the team. We got 5 of my retail bankers here. We actually got 1 independent that's here as well. Shout out Kevin Bacco for being on the trip as well. Isaac, you're supposed to be here, kind sir. We miss you. Hopefully see you in the flesh soon. One of my previous retail folks as well that's now an independent. So shout out to you, Isaac. But yeah, this is a huge reward. What do you want to talk about, Ace? Fill me in. What's your game plan?
Yeah,
man?
you know, selfishly, I'd love to sit here and talk to you about life, but selflessly, I'm going to give the audience what they want. Some real sales shots are going to be coming your way today, because you have to understand that me and you right now, like you interview like what, 100 people a month right now for this sales position with us at
Yeah.
Tinker's Brokerage.
Tons.
We have 50 now, but we probably have had 100 total, right? 50 have survived so far, right? And I hate to say it like that, but it's true. You know, it's not an easy thing to do. So I want to give people the juice, you know, like we have these top performers that are on this trip. We have folks like me and you, and we hit the phones and we grind. Typically, we don't have bad months, you know? And I don't say that to be cocky. I don't say that to be arrogant. I say that because like great salespeople, great athletes, typically they're always on their A game, right?
Yeah.
And I want to talk today about like, what are those things that take somebody to their A game every time? If somebody's listening and they're a C player, like I want to be an A player, like what goes into that? And I want to give them the real juice and the sales shots for like, what does it take to be a top player in sales and business.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what they want, right? You know, everyone wants to sit here and say, hey, how'd you guys get here in 6 months? How are you doing these trips? How are you getting there, right? And I think it's being different. It's being that 1%, right? So, you know, for me, I think, you know, what I like to reciprocate to the team is you have to be different. You have to think different. If you go into kind of the mindset of like, hey, I've watched these people do the same thing over and over again, like that's the definition of insanity. You do the same thing, expect a different result. And that's what I like most about us is we're just different. And, you know, some things that are just different about us, when I jump into a sales and I'm talking with my team, and that's why these top 5 hitters are here with us, I always tell them the biggest thing is we're not selling a product. We're selling what it's actually going to do for your future, right? Like anybody can go in and sell a mortgage. Let's be frank. There's a lot of bankers that are probably out there that rode the COVID waves, low rates. They were order takers, right? Well, that's not the market you're in right now. You have to be a sharpshooter. So when you're going through, you know, an application with a client, you take your first call, you got to be different. Hey, you got to stand out. And when you're kind of going through those calls, right, it's not, hey, I'm just going to sell you a rate and term. I'm not going to just sell you a cash out refi. Hey, I'm not going to just pay off your debt. Super bland, boring info that everyone probably knows how to do in this call, right? But I'm selling the future. I'm selling a solve for X, right? So it's not just me going on the phone and say, yep, I lowered your payment, couple bucks. It's actually like, you know what, Alex, let me ask you, what will this $200 a month do for you? Right? So you might give me a reply that goes, well, hey, Bailey, you know, that's going to save me $200 a month, you know, call it $2,400 a year, right? Well, let me ask you this, Alex, what will that $2,400 do for you in the first year? What are your plans with the $2,400? Are you investing, Alex? Let me ask you that question. Are you actually planning to, you know, what are your kids' age? How old are they? Are you putting money away for them, right? You know, you start really digging deep and you peel some onion, some layers off that onion, right? And I think the biggest thing for us is I'm not selling a rate. I'm not selling a refi. Put that all behind you, right? And I think the biggest thing for the audience that I like to showcase for our team is we're selling the future. We're selling their dreams. We're selling the goals. I think that's what makes us different. That's really what stands out for me.
So the first thing you're saying is they have to be salespeople that actually care, go deep with their clients, and sell the future of what their client's life looks like, depending on the product or service, not solely based on the product or service.
100%.
Okay, we say that a lot, right? But why is it sometimes that we say that to somebody and then they go back to just selling numbers in their craft? Like, for example, Cody over here, you know, who's shooting us right now. Like, when I met this guy last time I came over here, he wasn't saying like, yeah, my videos are going to look like this and they cost this much and you're going to pay me this much. He told me, what is your vision, right? Who is your audience? What are you growing? He studied my brand. He got to know me. Now I'm using him again. That's a great example of this stuff applies to everything.
Yeah.
Like if this guy was just all about numbers, hey, here's my packages, pick one, and I'll show up at 8 a.m. I'll be like, this guy don't give a fuck about me.
Don't care at
So
all.
if somebody else calls me and they just spend 5 more minutes with me, I'm going to be like, Cody's out. This guy's in.
Yeah.
Right? And a lot of people wonder why they're getting shopped. You're getting shopped because that is you. You're the guy that's just doing a fast conversation with somebody, not getting to know them and giving them numbers. And then somebody else calls them and they do a little better. They get a little more personal. And then it's like, okay, there's a personal touch there. And in today's day and age with AI and automation and everything going on, that personal touch and making somebody feel good and like you care, it's so important.
So important. Huge feedback, right? And I think that's exactly what's, you know, makes bankers stand out. I think that's what makes you and I stand out the most too, right? Like Cody, he comes in, he's sitting here and he's like talking to us about his RV. He's talking about he wants to start maybe doing like a blog. I think he just ripped out the seats yesterday, right?
Yeah.
If you had any other basic person that comes in here, you know, he's basically going to come in here and just set up some stuff and say, hey, you know, I'll let you guys lead the path. I'll let you guys do whatever you want, right? But he's actually challenging you.
Yeah.
You know, he's actually saying like, hey, I've done my research ahead of time, right? Like you said, he spent 5, 10, 15 minutes maybe making a personal brand. He kind of knows you before, right? Probably looked you up on Instagram, probably easy to find you there, right? So, I mean, he's doing his research, and I think that makes a big difference as well, right? He's not going in and just saying, hey, I know exactly what this guy wants. I've done this 100 times before, right? He's being different. He's doing his research. He's going in and saying, hey, actually, I'm going to look at some of his videos. Let me see what he's got, right? But actually, too, I'm going to dig deep. I'm going to find out what he wants to do, and he's going to be personal about it. How many photographers, how many videographers have, I mean, you've done this a lot of time, right? How many times have they come in and shared stories about themselves and then actually like handcraft it to you? I mean, you brought up something about a bunker, you know, that, you know, you like with the shipping containers beneath. So you made a connection. So let me ask you this. You know, when we're talking about connection with people, call it clients that we speak with, right? Personal branding. Why did he strike you as one that had personal branding? Why is that important to the audience to be this 1% that we talk about?
I think it's just a unique approach and a unique touch, like, so where does that come from anyways, right? So like, I think genuinely you got to be a good person and you got to be curious about the people you're helping. So I think like before you could even tell somebody, hey, like build relationships, get to know people, show how you're going to change your life.
Yeah.
Internally, they have to look in the mirror and say like, do I want to change somebody's life?
Yeah.
Do I enjoy getting to know somebody? Do I actually understand how my product or service changes somebody's life? And if you don't, that's okay. But what do?
Yeah.
You go to ChatGPT and say, hey, I sell vacuums. I sell mortgages. I sell cars. I'm trying to make an emotional sale with my clients. What are some things I could talk about? How does their life change? How could I get to that, right? Like, I don't sell cars, but if I sold cars, I'd want to know what makes you come in to get this car. How many kids do you have? How many cars do you have? What's your worst part of the car that you have? What's your favorite part of the car you have? Where's the first place you drive this car? I don't fucking sell cars. I'm just telling you. Like, that's where I would go, right?
Right.
I would go there. Like, I want to know why. Like, why does this make you feel good? Who's the first person gets in it? And then when I sell you the car, it's all about that. The emails are about that. The texts are about that. The voicemails about that. Again, I don't sell cars. I think I'd kick ass selling cars because I'm giving you the sauce.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I don't sell life insurance, right? Well, I'd kick ass selling life insurance because it's not about the life insurance. It's about your family and your legacy and your loved ones being taken care of. So I think if you apply that and then internally you say, okay, I do care about that because I'm a good person. I actually want to help people. You're going to lead with that. But if I have to constantly remind you,
hey, you're just selling numbers. Hey, your calls suck.
Yeah.
that's internal, dude.
Yeah.
That's where my mind goes now because I've tried to change behavior for so long. And for some people, if it just doesn't stick, it's just not in them. You don't want to do that. So keep doing it your way and that's fine.
Yeah.
But you're only going to get to a certain limit doing it your way.
For sure. I mean, huge feedback, right? I mean, hopefully the audience caught that. I mean, we talk about when I first just, made the suggestion, right? We're not selling products, right?
Yeah.
Salespeople that actually do well, believe it or not, they're not selling a product.
Yeah.
They're being emotional. They're creating the why and they're selling the future, right? Like you just mentioned about the car, right? Like, yeah, at the end of the day, you are selling a car, right? But what's that car going to do for you? How's that car going to change your life? Maybe they need it because you find out because that's what they need for transportation. Maybe they need it because, hey, you know what? I can now take my kids to the movie. Whatever that pain, pleasure point, whatever you're actually getting the product to, right, from an emotional connection. I think that's what separates us because I feel like a lot of folks, right, you're in the day and age where there's AI involved. Everybody's quick. The attention spans have dropped, right? And a lot of people know a lot about sales. They see a lot of these videos. They see a lot of stuff like, for car sales, they have all those blogs that are out there, right? People know that if I'm going to go into a dealership, I know what to expect. I've seen this before. I'm highlighting it. And I think that personal touch, that emotional benefit, I think we've lost it a little bit. Real talk. I think a lot of folks get on the call and it's like, how do I just get this person off the call, right? Let me just hit my highs, lows, 1, 2, 3, get them. And let me get off this call. But I think we've missed personal touches and branding. So, the big thing for me is that I really strongly believe in, and I think you mentioned this too, if it's not in you as a person that you can't hit these points, maybe it's not for you. So let me ask you this question. We've interviewed hundreds and hundreds of people over the years, right? And I think our biggest challenge for us is we want to find these 1% folks, right? We might not see them in the first interview. We might not see them right away, right? What questions are you asking these folks? What do you see in folks that makes these folks think that there could be 1%?
Yeah, because we're going to get to the second thing here shortly. But before we jump to that, I want you just, and I want people listening to know, like, if you don't have that in you, you could supplement it by being extremely great at another thing, right? Like, let's say somebody doesn't do that, but they're totally smart with numbers.
Sure.
They're financial experts. They're professional. They show up on time. They follow up on time. Like, you could still be great without having that element, but you got to fill it in with the other elements of being great. So to tie into the second thing, it's the why and the purpose and the grit and the effort. I think those are all combined together. Like, effort and grind is nothing without why and purpose.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And why and purpose is nothing without effort and grind. So, today when I was working out down there, I looked up and there's thousands of rooms here. And I'm like, I'm the only one working out on a Saturday morning here, out of thousands, and like, I feel like those are the moments where you're on the right track, where you're doing something where nobody else is doing. When I come into the office, let's say at 6 a.m. or 7 a.m, I'm not going to lie to you. I look around and it kind of, like, not disappoints me, but it kind of saddens me, because it's like, I remember showing up so many times, the first one in the office, I'm like, I'd love to come in and see 3 people. 3 people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I want to see 40 people in the office at 7 a.m. I'd love to just see 3 people because that shows me hunger.
Yeah.
And that shows me why and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm doing this for my family. Like, I've been struggling. Like, I want to get ahead. But dude, you're not here. Like, you're not here. You're not doing anything that's special or out of the ordinary, which creates extraordinary, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I believe it's a hard work, effort, purpose, and why. Like, tell me your purpose and why, and then fuck telling me it. Show me your purpose and why.
Sure. Yeah.
You know?
Demonstrate.
And I think you see that in people when they come in. You know, I look at things like, how many places have you been to? Is it the company's fault or is it your fault? Like, are you making excuses for why you're not successful, or have you always been successful and you came, you know?
Yeah.
So that's what I look at as a second thing is, you know, all right, you have the why and the care and you're building relationships that stands out. And then do you have the hustle, the grit, and the why and the purpose behind why you do what you do?
Yeah. Huge feedback, right? You know, we wouldn't be here, you know, call it, if we didn't have a why, right? For us. You know, we look at ourselves every single day as we actually want to showcase our reflect our why across the board. So I think the biggest thing to motivate your salespeople too, right? And you're talking about this, and you know, we're actually looking at this from a perspective of if we have a big passion, we have a big why, we have to reciprocate that to the floor, right? Because if we're kind of those boring, mellow leaders, right? Let's check a box. Let's just, hey, you guys show up 8 to 6. You know, your day's over with. Have a nice day, right? Yeah. But I think the cool part, and I think the unique part, the differentiation factor that you and I bring to the table is I think you and I have a really strong why, right? And I think it's easy for us to vet those out from people because you're right. I think if folks don't want it, like they're not there. They have to be able to be different, right? So I think a big thing for me, you know, that across the board when I'm looking for interviewing folks, right, is what's their purpose, what's their why? I do think that's a great statement. But I think the biggest thing is why do you want to be in mortgages? And I always like asking that question because here's the reason why. You know, the folks that I have not hired, and if you're watching this, my apologies, but the biggest thing is they go, well, you know, I think I can go in and, you know, the market's this, that, and third, rates are a little high. If they say anything about rates, anything, guaranteed, I'm telling you right now, they're not going to make it. And here's the reason why. Let me ask you this question. How many times do you sell rates on a call?
It never mattered to me. I don't even pay attention to the market. It's like, it's way more deeper than rates, you know? And I feel like 7% or 2%, my production's going to stay the same.
100%. And that's the biggest thing for me, right? And it's unique because you actually changed my mindset on that.
Yeah.
You know, when I first came here, you know, I jumped in actually when rates happened to be a little lower, right? But in the first 6 months, I realized, I was like, hey, you know what? Who cares about rates? So anytime that I'm vetting someone out, they go, well, hey, you know, at the end of the day, rates are a little high. You know, it was the previous company, like you mentioned. Oh, their lead flow stopped, this, that, and the third. I always sit back and I go, it's never the leads. It's never the lead flow. It's you. It's your own mindset, right? These folks don't have a correct why. So the biggest thing for me that I'm showcasing to my team is I want everyone to find a why. Like if you're in the audience and you're watching and you're sitting at home, you're sitting at the end of the month, it's now the beginning, right? But if you ended last month with 2-3 deals, ask yourself, do you have a why? And if you don't, go find one, because I'm telling you, that will change your life. If you don't have a why, it will change your life on the floor. That's step one, in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
You got to have a goal. You got to be solution focused.
Because if you do have a why, then the other things will follow, right?
100%.
Well, again, a lot of people think they have a why or they have a why, but they're just not showing it, you know? So like,
might not be the right why.
One of the best tests for me to see if somebody's driven is just watching them and seeing how focused they are or how easily distracted they are. If I see somebody that's doing this at their desk, automatically, your family means shit to you, dude. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it. Like, if you're doing this during your grind time where you're away from your family, you're here, but you want to like mindlessly scroll or look at something that doesn't really, and look, sometimes you could do that, right? Like I'll do it at night sometimes, but like you'll never ever see me. Never. I got cameras rolling on me all day, dude.
Yeah.
I've never scrolled. Why is that? Because I know my time. I know my value. If I'm away from my family, I'm going to make it count. So that's one of the tests that I do. I just look at somebody, and if it's like a Kevin Backer where I could barely get a word in with him because he's so focused and driven, the guy doesn't even eat, right? I'm like, all right, this guy knows. Then if it's somebody else and I'm like easily distracted, mindless conversations.
Yeah.
That's a test that I do.
That's a really good test, by the way. That's really good. Especially in this day and age too, right? Because it's everything's super accessible. You open this thing, right? And boom, you're golden. Yeah. I think that's a huge piece of feedback. I think most folks, across our office for the most part, I think they do a pretty solid job at it. But we've
Yep.
noticed some folks that do, our problem childs that like to jump on the calls or jump
Yeah.
on the phone.
And it shows.
It does.
You don't see any of those folks number one.
Yeah, I mean, you look at my number one guy, Sam Herby, this guy comes in at about 8 o'clock every single day. He doesn't leave till about 9 o'clock. You can even look at the cameras throughout the office. This guy's actually got 2 phones, so double the distraction opportunity. And he's got one and I really like this idea. I'd encourage folks to do it. I think this is why Sam, his little secret success is, little pro tip, have one phone for personal life. When that phone rings, it's personal life. That can wait, right? You have your second phone for business only. That's a tip I wanted to showcase to the team, or call it you as well.
He told me that before. His phone was ringing. He's
huge.
I'm like, you gonna pick it up? He's like, no, it's my personal phone.
That can wait, right?
Yeah.
That's not my why. That's not why I'm here today. When that business line rings, there's money on that phone to be made, right?
Yeah.
So I know I'm gonna pick up that phone. So he knows how to differentiate the distraction. So it's a really good piece of feedback, right? If you got a massive, distraction in front of you, find a way to get rid of it. Sam does a really good job. This guy's been top retail for 3 months back to back to back now.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why. He does these little things just a little bit differently. No distractions.
Yeah. And I didn't think when he first joined, I didn't think he's going to be number one, right?
I know.
And he showed up and he did it.
Did.
So what's the third thing? We talked about, building great relationships and being unique and getting to know somebody's life and solving for a better life for them. And then we talked about having a strong why and purpose and tying that to your effort, focus, and determination while you're at your craft.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, number 3 would be the structure and the organization, the foundation, right? We call it the rituals, following a certain strategy and building a formula that keeps your business organized and growing. Like for me, I think one of the things that differentiates me is when I come in, I'm very methodical. I look at all my pipelines I've created, not interested, cold, warm. And within minutes, I could send different communication to every single list, and I could blast and I could create a chaos and chaotic day of business. And I think that comes with organization and building. So like you have to, like when you first start, or even if you've been started, it's not too late.
Yeah.
You have to start getting organized. And with like, hey, from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, I'm doing this, or from 8 to 12, I'm doing this. This is the way I do it. I'm not going to let one email distract me and throw me off my thing. One phone call distract me. I'm not going to let a bad day distract me. You create a formula that works and you do it. If I got a personal trainer at the gym and he's like, these are your workouts, the guy is shredded, I'm going to follow those workouts. Why would I jump off that regime if I know it works?
Sure.
Right? So like if you create a formula, follow that formula, because I think a lot of people get stuck and they plateau because they're not organized to go over that plateau.
Yeah. Well, you got to have a plan of attack, right? And I think you make a really great point. Every single day you're walking in, and I know you have that calendar in front of you, which, by the way, I don't even know how you read your own handwriting sometimes, because it's such a diverse plan. But you got to have a plan of attack. And I think that's one thing that sets you out different from everybody else. You're old school, right? Like I just talked about a couple of minutes ago, kind of people lost that personal touch right on the phone in the day and age that we live in. I mean, you're old school, man. You have a calendar in front of you. You're writing down as soon as you walk in at 7:30, you're going, okay, 8 o'clock, this is what I'm doing. Plan of attack 1. This is going to lead me to step 2. Right? This is how I'm going to create this. That step 2 goes to step 3. Now you're going to have a couple, emails or text messages or calls that distract you, but you know what's right in front of you every single day? Once that call's over with, that email is that plan, right? The timeline to success. I think that's a big thing that the audience should know is like, if you're walking in every single day and you're like, what do I do today? Like, I wonder where today is going to take me. I think that's the wrong mindset.
Yeah.
You don't have a plan of attack in front of you. You should be coming in. Your full day should be structured, ready to attack by 7:30, 8 o'clock. Bare minimum. If you're starting at 8:01, you're already too late.
Yeah. And
because this guy is already a minute ahead of you doing it right before you.
Yeah. And like for a lot of people, like we'll give you the rituals and the way we do things. But like if you have your own way of doing it and it works, please do it, right? I think for a lot of people, they're not even experimenting with different ways to approach a day to find out what works the best, right? There was a debt consolidation company and they were losing. They had like a 4 or 5% return rate on their phone calls, or even answer rate for people to even get into a debt consolidation with them and for them to, succeed. And the CEO sold it to a new CEO. The new CEO went up to 33% within 30 to 60 days, and he went up higher than that. And they asked the new CEO what they did, and they're looking for something, you know, earth-shattering. And the new CEO said, it's very simple. The CEO before me and the way the company went before me, they called the same exact clients at the same exact time every single day.
Yeah.
They said, what did you do? I said, I came in, and on Monday, we dialed them from 8 a.m. to this time. On Tuesday, 10 a.m. to this time. Wednesday, 12 to 2. Thursday, 2 to 4. Friday, 4 to 6. Saturday, 6 to 8. And he's like, then we seen when people answered the most, and we started switching up the formulas and the way they called.
Yeah.
That by itself, just looking at the business saying, these people call at the same time every single day. We're going to try different times to see which one works the best. That by itself, 33% increase.
Huge, huge. And I think, you know, that congrats to that CEO that did that. He identified, you know, hey, I got to do something different, right? You know, coming in and calling the clients at the exact same time, right? Like you have a scheduled every single day, 8 o'clock. If that's not your best time at 8, well, why not 3? Why not 3 p.m.? Why not 4 p.m.? Why not 5? Why not 8, right? So, you know, some differentiating factors that I think that you do extremely well and we do extremely well at the Takers is, you know, point case scenario that we run rituals, but sometimes we run it in reverse. We'll do pattern interrupt like you're saying.
Yeah.
You know, I even made an adjustment to my team. You know, I looked at production metrics and averages between 2 and 4 really wasn't a sweet spot for us, right? You know, a lot of folks are wrapping up their day at work. They're really trying to get out, trying to be back to their families. So what I introduced is very similar to what you're talking about. I said, go take a long lunch.
Yeah.
Go do something personal. You know, get out of the mindset for a hot minute. Do what you need to do to be successful. If that's a cold plunge, if that's a sauna, if that's go take a nice lunch, come back at 5. Now I'm going to attack those clients at 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
I'm going to be different. So I actually introduced that this month. And we just broke another record this month with, you know, fundings from loan volume and revenue. Because again, we're being different.
For sure. And you introduced that, right?
Yeah, that was purely me.
But
Purely.
you've been doing this for over a year.
Oh,
Why
yeah.
has nobody introduced that to you yet? Why don't we have multiple people coming up to us and say, hey, I want to try this. Hey,
Yeah.
I want to try this today. Hey, you know what? I'm going to do this a little differently. We don't hear enough of that. And, you know, we're very open-minded to a sense where we're not going to say,
No, it's our way or the highway.
you
Yeah.
can't do that. But people need to be more creative and they need to think outside the box a little more and stop following, you know, the hamster wheel,
Mm-hmm.
right? And think to themselves, what did I do today? What worked? What didn't work? What should I try doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
And I think we need more of that.
Answer your question, right? I think everyone follows the rat race, the corporate rat race wheel, right? You know, the guy before me did this, he made this, right? You know, the guy before him did this, he made this, right? And I think that's what everyone sees, right? It's that kind of, you know, American dream. This guy did this. You're supposed to go here. You're supposed to do this. No one thinks outside the box. Those top 1% of folks that, you know, again, like you just mentioned, I introduced it because when I look across the board, right, I'm looking at my team, I'm saying, okay, what's going wrong here between 2 and 3, 2 and 4? We're having 0 deals on the board. If I keep running that exact same time they're on the phone, I'm never going to find production. So why am I going to waste their time, my time, to not be resourceful and find out, hey, you know, I got to think outside the box from 2 to 4 is our cold time, and we need to do something different. Here's how I'm going to do it, right? So I run a full week. I tested with 3 folks. And you know what happened is between 5 to 9 p.m., they had 30% more pickups, 6 more credit pulls than they would have the same times between 2 and 4 between those 3 combined folks. Now, let's not say they wrote the deal, but you know what that does? That creates engagement for the next day because now if I'm getting you to pick up at 7, 8, 9 o'clock, guess what you're more willing to do the next day when I call you at 2? Because now you're engaged. You got the hook, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm selling the emotional dream. I'm selling the benefits. I'm selling your future. Now you're more willing to pick up my call at 2 to 4. That's a huge separation factor of us here. It's huge.
Small things go a long way. I always say if you add up all the little small things, they create big things inside the business.
Big inches. Yep.
You know, and I talk about that all the time. And then, like, we're not saying, because some people are going to look at this and they say, like, well, these guys just care about work and, like, not this, like, it's not that serious. Like, look where the fuck we're at right now. You know what I mean? Like, does this look like I only care about fucking work to you? This looks like a guy that's trying to celebrate the fruits of his labor.
For sure.
And I tell you that because you need to celebrate the fruits of your labor. So I'm saying, like, work hard, play hard. Work hard, play hard. You know, take your loved ones on a trip, you know? Take your spouse or your significant other somewhere nice. Take yourself somewhere nice if you're on your own. And remind yourself, hey, this is why it makes sense. This is why I do it. And then you celebrate.
Yeah.
You know, and then you keep going. And I think that's important too, because you got to know what you're doing this for. And you got to remind yourself with checkpoints of why you're doing this all. And I think that ties into why I'm successful, because I always tried to, like, even when I was at Rocket grinding my ass off, I'm like, I'm going to work my ass off. I'm going to miss a lot of shit, but in 3 months, I'm taking a vacation. I'm going to work my ass off, another vacation in 3 months.
Yep.
I'd rather do a 1 week vacation after 3 months of hard work than go out drinking every single Friday night and ass it out at work.
100%. 100%. Yeah, you have to celebrate your wins. And I think it's a mindset shift, right?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of folks say like, hey, you know what, if this will be a good one, maybe I'll take a vacation then. You know what I would incorporate these folks to do, you know, that are listening, like, obviously celebrate your wins, right? We're not saying go in and, you know, put your head down and do everything that we're saying we're doing. We're just giving you extra inches, right? But also to plan a vacation, put a 4-month goal on your calendar, have a plan of attack and say, I'm going to put my head down for 4 months, right? Here's my plan. Here's the outcome of it.
Yeah.
I think that's a big mindset shift change. So a lot of folks are like, you know what? Hey, I think I'll take a vacation now, right?
Yeah.
You know, I love that mindset. I do the same thing. You know, I really, you know me, I don't take time off, right?
Yeah.
Nor do you, right? So, you know, I think put your head down, smile, enjoy the win, enjoy the fruits of your labor, and celebrate just like this.
Yeah. And what's unique about our structure is we're the opposite of a corporate structure, because you just talked about Isaac. He was retail, W-2. And look, like, we pretty much like split the comp with our retail people. We pay for all their expenses, but there's a lot of times they make more than we do.
Oh, big time.
So it's a tough model, because we have the most, you know, aggressive W-2 pay model right now.
Yep.
But also, after 1 year, we put in work to this guy. We graduated him to independent. He was top 10%. He went to the independent model. At the independent model, we make a freckle of his income. It's like 10%, right? So we're not really making much off of them, but we're teaching him how to be a business owner and then enjoy the fruits of his labor, where we enjoy very little of that labor, but we see the growth, and that's what we're building here. So, like, we have 2 channels, an independent channel and a retail channel. What are you looking for in somebody that's retail that wants to join? Look at them and tell them, if they're listening right now, how do they know if they're a good fit for you?
Yeah, great question. You know, I need some folks that are driven, right? Some folks that want it. I'm not really too interested in the folks that are like, hey, it's not working at my current place, this, that, and the third. I've been through, 4, 5, 6 lenders in the last couple of years. I want folks that want to change their life. I want folks who are looking at this and not saying, oh, these guys are on some balcony out in Cali, have done it in 6 months. Like, trust me, anybody can do what we're doing, right? Like, they can come to a balcony and shoot a podcast. I want folks that actually want to change their lives, that actually want to be structured around smart individuals, because trust me, there was a time and period in my life where I hung out with smart people and I took notes. I went in that room, I was very quiet. And I stayed in that room for a long time, because you want to know the reason why? I was very quiet and I listened. I wrote down notes from smart, successful people, right? And then now, when I come out of that room of smart, successful people, now I can reciprocate that process, right? So I'm looking for folks that are willing to take in some knowledge, willing to maybe spice it up, do something different, right? I want some folks that are really invested in learning something new. And I think Sam Herby is a prime example. Isaac is a prime example, like you just mentioned. These folks came in and they're like, hey, let me hang around you guys for a couple months.
Yeah.
Let me see what you guys are doing differently.
Yep.
Now they're reciprocating. They're doing it at a high level. And I think that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And if you're independent, what I'm looking for is somebody that's already a professional at their craft, because it's not easy to start your own business. Have $10,000 to $20,000 stashed up. Just invest in your business so you're not stressed out and have zero to start. And already be closing, at least 7 to 10 units a month, clockwork. If you have all of that, I think you do very well and be very successful in our independent model.
Yeah, and caveat to that too, and to kind of bring a little bit more insight in, if you got some organic business too, because I think this gets missed a lot, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have like a non-compete, right, and you can bring in some real organic business, that can tee you up for some success on the independent platform. And here's the reason why. You're walking in to your money, and now you can invest in the leads with West Capital. Yeah. And that's a huge differentiation factor, because most folks, you got to come in, spend 10, 20, it just kind of depends on what you're trying to accomplish. But if you have some organic business, maybe when rates drop, you see a refi boom come in 6 months, if you got a repeating book of business, it's a beautiful time to pivot to 1099.
100%. And last thing I'll say is there's a lot of people that are not with us no longer who would have been with us if the market was easier.
Yeah.
So another thing to realize is if you're in a craft right now that it's tougher to sell inside of that craft because whatever's going on in your industry, understand, don't shy away from that. Instead, understand if you could be successful in a tougher market for your product or service, that means you could be successful in any market for any product or service.
Oh, yeah.
So it's adversity that's uncomfortable, but if you could master it, Then when things get easier, it's like wearing a weight vest with 100 pounds. You're wearing it for 1 year and you take it off, you feel like a fucking bird, right? And I think that's important to note as well, that a lot of people would have been successful with us if it was an easier market.
Sure.
But because it's a tougher market, we're only getting the lions right now that are successful. And you need to not shy away from that, but you need to attack that aggressively.
Yeah, huge standpoint. Yeah, you got to be a sharpshooter for sure. You know, again, market is what it is. You know, we just talked about we don't care about rates, right? But at the end of the day, you know, there would be some folks that would be with us if, you know, candidly speaking, a little bit of an order taker, right?
Yeah.
But that's not how we live. We're not order takers. You got to be an absolute lion and shark in this industry.
There's no growth.
There's zero.
Yeah.
Zero.
Well, let's go celebrate the day, my friend.
Let's go.
It's been
Onto the
real
yacht.
sales shots for you guys. We're going to go celebrate our success just like we told you to do.